on. If you have questions for the coaches here this morning, just use the chat feature or that raise your hand icon. We're now pleased to be joined on the call by the head coach at UNH, Rick Santos. Good morning, Rick.
Morning, Rob.
Congratulations to you and your guys. 2-0 start with a thrilling win over Holy Cross 1916 on Saturday night. Just talk about what impressed you about the way your guys played.
Yeah, just the resilience, the mental toughness to stay with it. We had a ton of adversity early. I think third or fourth play of the game, threw a pick six, got down about a minute into the game, able to bounce back quickly the next drive, hit a big trick play for a touchdown to get some of the momentum back. And then at that point, it was back and forth the whole game. I thought defensively, we did a really nice job bottling up their quarterback. He was really athletic. He could improvise, make plays with his feet. We did a good job keeping him contained. I think defensively, our pass efficiency was really high as well. Got an interception. So, I thought the rush lanes and the integrity defensively was really well. I thought we covered and plastered to our man when they scrambled. Special teams was a huge factor for us as well. They had a dynamic kick returner going into the game. The NIU game, he had a 100-yard return for a touchdown, another one that went to the 30. So we kept him balled up. We blocked the kick and then forced another errant one as well late in the game that ultimately allowed us to go down and hit the game winner. And then, our field goal kicker, Nick Reed, really proud of him. Very stoic in there, poised, 4 for 4, hit a 50-yarder, and then ultimately the game winner as time expired. So it's just a great way to end it.
Let's talk about Nick a little bit. I think National Player of the Week honors as well as the CAA honors. And I believe he hadn't had a kick longer than 39 in his career, and he hits a big one from 50 to tie it, and then you send him out there for the game winner from 40. Had you seen that coming, or did that performance surprise you at all?
No, he does a really good job preparing. He visualizes it. He goes out there every single day and executes in practice at a high level. And, we work to do a lot of sudden change things in practice and get the team around him and make him as uncomfortable as we possibly can during practice. So hopefully he's a more confident when he gets into the game. And he certainly felt that way. And, he just had a nice little smile about him when he went out there and kind of looked at me, and it was a calming moment for me. It felt like it wasn't too big for him. He wanted that opportunity to go win it, and he did.
And let's just stay just quickly on special teams. You mentioned the block kick for the second week in a row. Cameron Garner-Young getting one. What is the key to doing that? I know there's certainly some skill involved, and just how is he able to do that so effectively?
Yeah, I think that's an attitude play. It's a demeanor play. I think it's the identity of our team on in particular on special teams in that unit. It's one down. It's not like everything else. You have one down there to go impact the game in a positive manner, and he certainly takes advantage of that. He plays extremely hard. He practices with a purpose. I'm just really happy for him to get the success early on in the season he has.
We're here with UNH head coach Rick Santos. If you have a question for him this morning, just use the chat feature or the raise your hand icon. Let's start on the offense. You mentioned the pick six right out of the gate, but then you decide to use that trick play, and it hits Caleb Burke to Josh Bellan for the 53-yarder to take the lead. Was that a play going into the game you thought you could get? And what goes in? I know you're great quarterback and offensive mind. What goes into calling that play at that certain time?
Well, we just felt like how stout they were and physical defensively, and they do such a good job. Holy Cross does of like putting a net on things. So we felt like we were gonna have to generate some things in a creative manner if we wanted to get behind their coverage. So that was something we felt like the first time we got on the left hash or left middle that we wanted to get that called, and obviously didn't happen on the first drive with the pick six, and so we designed the return to go to the field so we could try to get that set up as early as possible, and called that on the first play of the second drive. So just really, really happy for those guys to execute. And Josh Fillion in particular, he's someone who started as a walk-on, earned his way to full scholarship, just tough, gritty player. It just really embodies what a New Hampshire man's all about. So I was happy he was able to get in the end zone.
Offensively, I know wasn't the best night, 279 yards, and Matt had a couple of picks, the pick 60 you mentioned, but he does drive you 58 yards there at the end in a minute and 40 to set up that game-winning score. Just talk about his ability to do that after wasn't his best night, maybe.
Yeah, I think we closed the half strong with a field goal, and then obviously ultimately closing the game out there with that big 2-minute situation. So yeah, he stayed poised in the face of adversity, and was was trying to throw the first one away, got hit. The second one, I just thought it was an elite play by their defensive tackle. We called a four verts play. Everyone dropped. We were trying to check it down to the back on 3rd and long. They hit a twist game, and then their defense tackle jumped up and picked it. So I think both of them were kind of fluke plays. You can easily get rattled from that standpoint, and I thought he did, and I thought he stayed into the game and stayed with it, and just really proud he was able to make some of those throws, late in the game to get us down there and ultimately hit the game.
Question for you from Roger Brown. Good morning, Roger.
Hi, Rob. Good morning, Rick.
Morning, Roger.
Nick told us Saturday night that he really didn't get much of an opportunity at Buffalo. So I'm just curious, when you're bringing in a transfer kicker, what do you have to go on? Like, what led you to accept him? And number two, anybody else other than Trevor stand out to you defensively in Saturday's game?
Yeah, so our special teams coordinator Nick Delagiacono did a really good job. He knew some guys that had recruited him coming out. We knew he had a big time leg, kind of relying on who he was coming out of high school, and then some of the practice tape that he had sent us. So, we brought him up unofficial. We really liked his demeanor. We thought he had a calmness about him and a confidence, and the way he carried himself. We felt like, hey, he has the mental ability to be successful here. Physically, we were just going off tape, hadn't really seen him in person. So certainly it's worked out so far for us. And then, defensively, I think Raleigh Collins is another guy who stepped up for us playing that weak safety position, had a really big interception in that game. I thought defensively, the defensive line, there's 4 or 5 guys that I could really highlight in that game. But I thought Desjuan Johnson did a really good job. We had 5 sacks. Timmy Bonagera got in on there. I think Justice Akamaladen did a really good job as well. So I think that, the front 7 in particular, wreaked havoc all game.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Rick, your defense holds them to 251. What you mentioned some individuals there, Roger, but what have you guys been doing especially well on that side of the ball this season?
Yeah, you know what? I think they're doing a good job kind of mixing up our looks. We're stunting and moving a lot from a defensive line perspective. And then on the back end, I think, we've done a really nice job with some of the different packages. So if we get you into third and obvious passing situations, getting in some extra safeties in there, we can mix it up, make it look like man, make it look like zone. So I think those guys are taking to the game plan. I think they're preparing really well. And Coach James and the whole defensive staff is doing a nice job keeping those guys in the moment.
Look ahead to Saturday on the road in an FBS opponent in Ball State. They're 0-2, but they faced Purdue and Auburn to start. So it's certainly a tough start for them as you've started to look at them. What are the challenges they present for you?
Yeah, I mean, I know they're going to be hungry and eager for this one. Getting back home and playing 2, really, really tough Power 4 opponents. So, I think offensively for them, I think their quarterback is extremely dynamic. They do a really good job attacking the perimeter. So they make you set edges on the defense. They wanna split you horizontally. So they're going to have an outside zone scheme going one way with the QB run scheme going the other, and they do that a ton. They have some really good play action shots off of that. I think their offensive line is big and physical, and they have elite length there. And then defensively, they seamlessly, based on their personnel, can move between a 4 down and a 3 down front. So that's going to change kind of who's setting the edge of the defense. They can rotate their field overhang back and play a 3 high safety look. So I think, they present a lot of challenges for us. We need to do a really good job, better than we did this week on first down. I think that was a reason we weren't successful. Way too many 3rd and long. So we need to be efficient on first down in this one.
You've been involved in some New Hampshire wins over FBS opponents, and the program certainly has. When you play these kind of games, what are the keys to being able to pull off an upset?
I think you just got to play free. First of all, you got to believe that you belong on that field with those guys. Play free, play confident, and I think it's one of those things you want to go into it with the mindset you want to attack success, and not be afraid to fail. It's going to be a physical game. They're going to make their plays, and we gotta make sure that it's a 4-quarter game. I think the later that it goes on in the game and it's close in that manner, I think the pressure all gets flipped on them. So if we can be closer up going into the second half, going into the 4th quarter, I think it gives us a great opportunity to close them out.
How much momentum with this 2-0 start do you feel like you have going on this trip?
I think our schedule is just so tough week in and week out. We haven't even got into league play yet. So, for us, we're just trying to stay in the moment, stay grounded. We're still a really young team. I think that's the challenge for us this week is, yeah, it's been a really good start, but there's still a lot of things that we need to clean up. We got to keep our guys grounded, present in the moment. We got to prepare and practice better than we did last week.
All right, Rick, thanks so much for your time this morning. Good luck on Saturday at Ball State, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.